Hi everyone, it's Roberta. I have cut out the poppy flower and an extra flower bloom for the top here, and I'm going to color the back of the ATC. This is one of the textured ATCs that I made a video on. These are some of the images that I printed out. And so I went in and cut, and of course I don't like the little bits of white that end up getting stuck inside. So what I do is I cut along a side of it, and then I tape or glue it down, basically glue it down so that you can't really tell. And this one's kind of long, so excuse me, it's gonna take up most of the ATC, so I'll probably pull it off the page about here, because that's the bottom of this one, and so I think I'll pull it down to about here. So the first thing I'm going to do is color the background. Just use a couple of shades of yellow, King's Gold, bright yellow, and yellow. They're all fairly close together. And I want to, I think I'll spritz with this one first. This is the neon. And it's not so much to give it color as to make it wet. So when I put some paint down, it'll be easier to smooth all over the paper. And alcohol does some weird stuff to acrylic paint. It makes it glob up. I don't know why it does that. And looks like I'm going to need to paint this with gesso first, so I'm just going to go ahead and throw some on. And I'm just going to use my finger. And you can see the boogery, slimy texture that I'm getting. I just think it's interesting. This is how you learn new things, just experimenting, trying something different. I'll just go ahead and leave that as is. The gesso on the paint is bubbling, which is pretty neat looking. And the paper's curled up, but I'll be able to flatten that out. And because there is some glue on the top, it actually is getting some crackle effect. And I want to do a little bit of stenciling on the background, and I'll just use this punchinella. And I am going to use a makeup sponge, and I'm going to mix this cobalt blue. It's cobalt hue. I always thought it was cobalt blue. And mix it with some gesso, but not all the way. this in one of my pages. I have to remember I can't pounce really loud because it's making noise on the camera. Okay. And that's already dry because it is very thin layer of paint that I just put on. I'm just trying to reshape it so it doesn't stay curled up. And then I'm just going to wet this. This one is the bright red with the pink glitter. So I'm going to use my finger and just color the flowers, and then I'm going to spray it with this. And I have to do the glycerin water first. I'm trying to figure out how to do it where I just get the flower. There. Glycerin water. Same for that one. This one has to be the prettiest color one because it's going over the top of this one. I also want to do this one because you'll be able to peek behind and see it. Because it has the alcohol, it should dry fast. Okay. That doesn't have enough shine for me, so on this one I will do some of the glitter. I think for this one I'm going to use some of the pink, because it's not really going to be showing that much pink. Just a little bit. I love the color that it gives it. And the center of it needs to be yellows. And I have some gold. So I'm going to paint it yellow first with my watery one. Clean that up. center now needs to be painted white, so I need to try that first. Center needs to be white. Oh, we have a little goober. I just need to find out where I got those at. Should be using my little detail brush. And then I'll go over that with the gold. I don't have a yellow glitter. A yellow glitter would be really pretty on this. I just have the gold, so we'll see how that looks. I just spread it out a little bit. So when I pop it up, I think I need some more of the pink on here. I'll put that on a little bit. Right now I'm going to go ahead and paint these. And I will be needing some pink on. I'm not even sure how these are supposed to be colored. I'm just making it up as I go. Pretty much how I roll. And on these I don't need to worry about adding the glycerin water. I'm just going to go ahead and just go over it with a light coat. Really don't understand how the blooms are colored. These are not flowers that I've seen very much, although I did live in California and there's lots of poppies there. I think I'm going to go with the darker green first and then finish with the lighter green. Today was a really nice, cool day. My plants are recovering from the days of rain, and the sun helping them to grow, so they're pooping out, they're getting bigger, and the tomatoes have bloomed, so I'm hoping we'll get some bees to come over to pollinate them. I love being able to go out to the garden and just pick fresh tomatoes. One year I had a bunch of little grape and cherry tomatoes. And the plants had come up voluntarily because we had had pigs, and we fed the pigs the tomato. And when animals eat certain foods, sometimes the seeds just fall into the ground, but other times when they eat it, the seeds are not fully digested, and so they come back out still fully intact. And because it's gone through the digestive system, it actually helps it to grow faster and better. And so this particular year, 2015, I had a wonderful garden of voluntary cucumbers, tomatoes, bell peppers, and some squash. And so I dug them up and I put them in my dedicated garden area that I had made. And I could go out there every day and just pick. I had abundance of tomatoes. That was the one I had the most of, but I had quite a few of the other ones as well. And then we planted some watermelon and jalapeno and some other goodies. So I just love to go out there and get myself some fresh tomatoes. Just pop them in my mouth like candy. Oh my goodness, yummy. And the ones I have now, I don't have grape or tomato, or grape or cherry tomato, the little ones, but I got 5 different heirloom tomato plants. So I'm really excited to see what we'll end up with. It's such a gorgeous color, and it's going to pop and it's going to spray little bits of paint everywhere. There we go. I didn't think too much about that one time, and I had a beautiful ATC that I'd done from Marimay's Cafe, Beaver Bubbles, and it was the one where I had done the frog. And after I was done with it and I was putting it in a sleeve, I was trying to figure out where these little brown dots were coming from, and it was because I had opened up a brown paint and it had a bubble in it like that, and I had popped it not thinking about it. Now I think about it. I don't want it popping and spewing out little dollops of pigment onto projects where I don't want it. I'm trying really hard just to pick up small amounts of paint, not too much, but a lot of times I'm just really picking up nothing. So the thing is if I pick up too much, it's harder to recover from having too much paint. It takes a lot more work to clean that up than it does to keep reaching for just a dab more. Yesterday I made some breakfast pie. I used zucchini, squash, onion, all diced up. A bunch of, I think it's 6 eggs, a deep dish pie crust, and some ham diced up really small. And I've used ground turkey or ground chicken. I've used leftover taco meat, leftover chicken, leftover hamburger meat, just any kind of meat you want to add in there. And I just throw in different things. Sometimes I make it with broccoli, cauliflower, carrots, that Normandy vegetable mix that you get frozen at the Sam's Club or Walmart. I just put 6 to 8 eggs in with it and some seasoning, which my seasoning is turmeric, real salt, black pepper, and cayenne pepper. And I use turmeric and cayenne pepper in almost everything I season, because everything I cook I season it, because they're both really good for you. When I first started with the cayenne, I really couldn't tolerate too much of the cayenne pepper because it's not super hot. But for me, I'm not one that was really big into anything spicy, but now I can tolerate it pretty good and enjoy it. And so it's added to most everything, and I have even added it into my French toast and pumpkin pie and just lots of other things. I just like to add a little extra flavor to that cayenne does. It gives it a bit of a pop. I don't really need to worry about coloring too much on that bottom. And that'll be it for those. And the only other thing I think I was going to do was add some more of that pink glitter. Because I don't think that one there is shiny enough yet. So a bit more on here. I like the color that I get with the poppy and this pink color of glitter. It's actually been in a lot of my projects lately, and it's not like I planned, it's just how it's been coming out, but I'm happy with it. Okay, so now I need some tape to pop that up. Not that much. I'm just going to put it directly on here. And then I need to check this again and see about the colors, because even though I just messed around on it, there's no guarantee that it's going to look good. There'd be no point to do it if it's not going to look good. Like, it's just too blah in the background. It needs to be brighter, but this needs to be the focal. So Actually, I think I'm just going to push that back some. Let me go ahead and put this on. There we go. Push it back. And just some more white, I think. I think I'll spritz it with this. I'm not really getting a whole lot out of there. This alcohol makes this look like it's cottage cheese over here. Kind of curdles it up. Okay. I think that'll work. When it dries, it tends to look a little bit darker. And I think I want to splatter some black ink in the background. So I need my box. It's under my table and it's trapped by everything I have over here. Struggle is real, folks. Success. Alright, so put that over here. Open that up. Camera died on me, so I put the black paint over here, some glycerin water to break it up. I don't have my other brush anymore, so I'm not sure the spray that I'm getting on here kind of big, the drops. So tap it on something, see if I get some smaller. There we go. I can use that on something. Just need to dry it. I think I will also Hi everyone, it's Roberta. I'm back. I printed out a sentiment that I wanted. I couldn't find any from all the other sentiments that I have, and I wanted something in reverse with the black in the background and the white text for the sentiment. And so I just went on the computer and printed out a whole page. This is how I do it. I've already cut into it, obviously. I cut this line that would have been here between these two. And a lot of times I just create multiples of the same sentiment, but then I change the font. Like, most of the fonts are different. There are some that are similar. I have some that are the black background with the white text, and some with the white background, the black text. And so this is how I do it. And then I can just cut into it and change it. And then I also did some where I'm sharing about my YouTube, which is Roberta's Artistic Adventures. And I made this larger and then the on YouTube smaller. But what I'm going to do is cut these out, put them on the back of cards or ATCs. Okay, so this is just an example, and I've also, changed. Some of the fonts are larger, some are smaller, and that's just so that I have different variations. But today when I was trying to put this one together, I couldn't find any kind of a font. Like, a lot of the ones I have are similar to this, and it just, it just wouldn't pop. But see the difference with the black and the white? It really pops right there. So that's what I'll be using. And I really like how this has turned out. I think it's very pretty. And I like how this has turned out as well. And the camera died. Not so much that the battery died on me, which is what usually happens, but this time it's because the card was full, so I had to empty stuff off of the card so I'd have room to record. And I had laid out the black paint and then watered it down with some gesso, and all I did was take this and just dip it in there, run it along the sides, and so it has an imperfect edge, which I like it. So now I'm just going to cut this down because it's longer than I want. I just want it to fit in here. And I'm not putting a sentiment up here, but I still want it to be kind of centered. I don't want it to be taking up the whole thing. I don't want it like that. I mean, I could make it fit, but I don't think I want it like that. I think I want it this way. And then I just want to put the sentiment down here. So I'm going to cut it down. And the rest of this video is uploading, so I'll be able to have it on my YouTube. And this is just the finishing part of it. So I'm just trying to figure out where I want it to be cut at. I need to lean it just a little bit so the flower is a little more centered. I hope I got that right. And that cut this little bit off. So I'll need to add that back in. It came off because I had cut down into it to get that white out. And I'm putting it off on the side a little bit to kind of center the orange flower. Let's see. Has to go up a little bit. And glue that one in a little bit. want to make sure that I get the little bits that are off on the edge so they won't be poking up. And just trying to spread some of that glue that's on here out. Not really adding more, just trying to spread it. Okay. And I will need to add some more of the black paint down here on the bottom, so these don't look like they're cut off, even though they are. I'm so not used to using this thing. Need to remember just to keep it in the cap, because that was an ingenious idea that they came up with, that you could just put it in a position where the glue is already at the tip, and you don't have to actually close it. You just stick it in there, it closes by itself with just the right amount of pressure. And the background has a lot of texture, so everything's not laying at the same level. Some bits are higher, some are lower. So I'm just pressing really hard just to get as much contact so that it can dry quicker and stay attached. Like this little bit here, right on this stem here, is poking up a little bit. Okay, and now I want to add the sentiment. Just trying to determine where would the best placement be. I think lower is better. I'm trying to make sure it's even and level. Okay, so here is my thank you ATC with the poppy flower. And I need to do a little something something over the white center. And I left my paintbrushes in the cup of water overnight. I also need to do the black paint with that right there. I can't find my little teeny tiny paintbrush that I usually use. just going to use the rest of this just to do on these little buds. And then reach under the flowers just in case that they can be seen just on the edge, only because it's still on the paintbrush. So why not, right? Okay, so now I just need to get that black little bit on the bottom. And this is just to match it up with the edge of the die cuts. And try to give it somewhat of an irregular edge because it's all squiggly on the rest. It has some of that gesso, so it doesn't really want to stay on there. There we go. Done. Just leave a comment and let me know if you like it. You could share if you haven't subscribed. You could click on the subscribe button and then also click on the little bell next to it. It'll let you know when any of my new videos come up. Thank you, and you guys have a blessed day.